and everybody. So we have, do I press it to the right?
Yeah. Point this way, not the screen, point this way. There we go. Oh. No, the other one.
Sorry.
That's for later.
That works.
Yeah, but what's the next one? There we go.
There we go.
So the talk is based on this lovely quote from, John chapter 16. These things I have spoken unto you, that in me you might have peace. In the world you shall have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. And when I somehow sort of caved in to dear Bill's suggestion that I might like to do the talk, I was genuinely in a state of overwhelm. You don't need to know the details, but there's plenty of them. And I didn't have Bill wanted me to come up with a title, and I didn't even have a subject. What I did was, years ago, I trained in Silver Mind Method meditation. And you go to a quiet place, and you then go to your own sanctuary that you build, and you have a person there to support you. So, and you're supposed to keep that person all the time. But I've now got a team, and so I've got Jesus, Teresa of Avila, and Hildegard of Bingen. So I went into my sanctuary and I meditated, and after about 20 minutes, I sort of thought, okay, that's it. And then I was leaving, and I thought, well, that hasn't helped much. And then Jesus said to me, be of good cheer. So here's the topic. It's a bit like Bill with Let There Be Light. So the revealing word describes, I like cheer. I like this verse. Other translations use courage, and cheer and courage, as Bill mentioned, are very relevant in the world at the moment, aren't they, with the floods and all that. But the revealing word describes the world as a state of consciousness formed through a belief in the reality of things external. It leads us to follow standards of living based on external opinions rather than truth. The world is overcome by denying that it has any power on us and affirming freedom in Christ. And right? So I've based our talk on the word cheer. And will I keep clicking? Okay, so first letter in cheer is C for community. I've often talked about what one of my favourite writers from the eclectic Catholic tradition, Henri Nouwen, refers to as the beloved community. And we could ask, why bother? So I want to tell you the reason why we value the community. Sociologist Emile Durkheim, and he's another one of my favourites, but fairly old, 1912, introduced a term for community that resonates with me, collective effervescence. He explained that this is an experience of connection, communal emotion, and a sensation of sacredness that happens when we're part of something bigger than ourselves. He added that during these experiences of effervescence, our focus shifts from the self to the group. What an example we've seen on a grand scale with the crowds in London honouring the Queen. And on slightly less grand scale, when we go round and greet each other and then sing Surely the Present, I really feel the energy in the room become effervescent. We create a feeling of love and connection that's uplifting in mind, body and spirit. And we become truly one in spirit. And that's my take on it, and that's why I now feel about it. Research in many disciplines has proven that belonging to a spiritual community contributes to a life filled with sense of meaning, increased positive emotions, increased social connection, and decreased sense of loneliness, all leading to a longer, happy and healthier lifespan. And there's masses of research on that. It's common today for people to feel that they want more meaning and connection in life. Families have become less connected. We text each other instead of meeting up. Research also shows that music is a powerful conveyor of joy and pain in connection. Singing together, or sometimes just listening to our music here, helps us release tension and cause positive chemicals to flow in our bodies. Christmas carol events are coming up, and they're a great example. Jim has relatives who are atheists, but they every year organise Christmas carols in a cave on their property. Gatherings for funerals and memorial celebrations can be painful as well as unifying. The collective pain and sometimes the joy we feel when we gather to celebrate a life is one of the most powerful feelings of experiences of connection. And even though we weren't physically present for Beverly's treasured sister Judith's celebration, I think we all felt united by the music in our sorrow and our gratitude for Judith's presence in our lives, as well as Beverly's. I went to my cousin Tom's wife's funeral a couple of weeks ago, and although he started off in a wavery voice filled with emotion, Tom then moved into a beautiful song with his fabulous tenor voice that he's maintained all his life, and it was truly heart-melting. Later, we cousins sat around reminiscing about the old days when we gathered every Sunday for a shared meal, and then we sang round the piano or the organ, whoever's house it was at. And then near the end, we honoured an old family tradition when a cousin got us up to hold hands and sing Auld Lang Syne. Again, that obviously melts my heart because that was an old family tradition. It was unifying and sad at the same time. American researcher and TED Talk expert Brené Brown, have you watched her on TED? Yep. Well, she says these moments are a ministry of presence and connect us to every heart that has known sadness since the beginning of time. We overcome the world and we connect to Source. Just going back now to our Unity community, we've survived remarkably through trials over the past few years. Our committee of management, Bill and volunteers have done an amazing job to keep us going despite all the challenges. In order to get back to normal, we need some extra help, such as volunteers for the greeters roster, just putting it out there. We also encourage everyone in your prayer and meditation time to set the intention and see and feel and give thanks that we are thriving and serving as a beloved community of like-minded souls. Once we're meeting in person, we can further reform bonding activities like our book groups and shared meals. And I was thinking on the way, maybe even our laughter club. Just saying. Martha Creek from Unity in America, she's a well-known Unity minister over there. She says communities need to eat together. And I've got a new facilitator for spiritual direction training, Rick Diamond, and he pointed out the other day that Jesus was heavily into eating and sharing food. So, clever me. H for honesty. One of the fabulous aspects of Unity teachings is that they invite us to go deeper into ourselves. We don't just chant creeds and prayers without conviction. There's a line in one of Joanna Trollope's novels that's always stuck with me, where the clergyman's by the grave and he says, "Blessed are they who mourn, for they shall be comforted." And she adds, he says it without conviction. We talk about connecting to the capital S self, owning our divinity or Christ-like. One of the ways to do this is to be brave and confront our shadow. The shadow is the dark side of our personality because it consists chiefly of primitive, negative emotions and impulses like rage, envy, greed, judgment, etc. Freud, who was a contemporary.
Need to point the pointer.
Oh,
Confused.
sorry. Yeah, sorry, here we are with Jung. He says, knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darkness of other people. We all have a shadow, and if we ignore it, it owns us, and we're unable to see that there is another way, a lightness of being. These repressed qualities are all in our unconscious. These traits came into existence when we as innocent children learned not to show our feelings, good or bad. We put them in an invisible bag and we drag them behind us. And I grew up in an era where if you had a feeling, you went to your room rather than express it. Paul Hasselbeck and Cher Holton in their book Power Up list each of the powers as from 3 levels: the undeveloped ego level or the overdeveloped ego level, and they are both in the unconscious, and then the elevated level, from the elevated consciousness, sorry. Some of the benefits of owning our shadow are we won't be triggered so easily by other people's behaviour. When we uncover our fears and anxieties, we have more confidence. Integrating our shadow means that we don't have to have a block of chocolate when we've had a fight with a neighbour or a dispute. We'll enhance our physical, mental and creative energy. Dragging around our bag of stuff is draining. We liberate that energy that we've been putting into protecting our self-image. We gain inner strength to handle life's challenges. This is handling life's challenge. Francis McNabb, who was a totally unique man at Cairnmillar, had 2 jobs. He ran Cairnmillar and he was the minister of St Michael's. And an interesting side point about him is that he wasn't ashamed to say he had a narcissistic part of his personality. So don't call me Francis, call me Dr. McNabb. And all his staff did that. I can tell you another story about him, but anyway. But he said that our earliest memory can frequently define our personality. And guess who this is? This is my first memory. I was 2 years and 8 months old, and usually you don't remember anything from 3, but Francis McNabb said this because I had so much in this memory. He gave me credit for it. So I was flower girl at my Auntie Mary's wedding, And somebody said, under no circumstances must you let her train get on the ground. And so, being a good girl and keeping the rules, we got out of the car, and there I am clutching it, not letting it get on the ground. We get into the church, into the aisle, and there I am still clutching it. And people were saying, put it down, put it down. I said, no way am I putting it down. And then when they snatched it from me and spread it out, I just felt so terrible because it looked so fabulous and I had truly stuffed up. And so, yeah, that's it. A pattern of protecting myself. Shame and guilt are said to be our lowest vibrational level, with love and gratitude at the top. How liberating to give compassion to my 3-year-old self and move up the scale. She's done well to protect me, but it's lovely to let her go and feel freedom from her reins. So our psychological wholeness leads us to claiming our belovedness, or capital S self. We overcome the world. So will I go back to... Oh. I'll just get them all up. So evolving and engaging, tips to support our psychological and spiritual evolution are: cultivate self-awareness, mindfulness, meditation, and spending time in the silence help us foster a non-judgmental awareness. Self-awareness and self-reflection through journaling are valuable spiritual practices. And I've kept many journals from my past, and I've torn a lot of pages out because they were so confronting and brought out shame. But it's surprising how I've really just kept repeating my heart's longing to be one with the divine in many different ways. So another one is cultivate self-honesty. It's easier said than done. Our early life protections encourage self-deception. Taking a look at our dark thoughts and emotion takes courage, but the rewards are there. We open to a new world of possibilities for our movement to our true self. We can't do this without self-compassion. Without it, we can't look at the darker side, and that's so important. And it's wonderful when feelings like shame or guilt are transmuted with friendliness, self-acceptance, and self-compassion. Remember, what we disown or repress, we project onto others. What bugs us about someone, or when we really admire someone, these are our disowned qualities. Taking them back is liberating. And then we have energy, zeal. When we're true to ourselves, we become energized. We might even be able to own the power of the month, zeal, that Diane so energetically and eloquently talked about last week. When we have zeal from an elevated consciousness, Paul Hasselbeck says, we have the ability to be enthusiastic, passionate, and inspirational, based on ideas and truth principles and laws that are divine in nature. We use zeal to enthusiastically be the best person and or Christ we can be, or to jump out of bed with zeal to do what's ours to do, like Charles Fillmore. Resilience is an in word in education nowadays. Educators are on about developing resilience in children. But when we've been through our exploration with honesty, we develop a special kind of resilience. We gain an inner belief in ourselves and a stronger recognition of whether or not we're being true to ourselves. I had an aha moment many years ago as an example of this. I had a small rehab service, and one of the insurers started changing the rules that we subcontracted to the insurers, and he started being more concerned about the costs than the injured workers. And one day when I put the phone down, I realised that I wasn't being true to myself. I felt as though I was truly selling my soul. And I felt it in the core of my being. So despite the financial loss, I had the fortitude or the guts to ring the client service manager and tell him that I would see through the existing clients, but then it was goodbye. I didn't, and told him I don't agree with what you're doing, the new ethics. And he was truly amazed. But yeah, I felt free. Transmuting our shadow rids us of the voices in our head that shout that we have to conform. We're not no good. We don't look right. We really messed up there, etc., etc. So be of good cheer. We can overcome the world when we really accept that we aren't what we do, how we look, or what others say about us, or what we own. We are truly God's beloved. And honouring you and again, the voice that speaks from above and from within whispers softly and declares loudly, you are my beloved son or daughter, and on you my favour rests. Being the beloved expresses the core truth of our existence. We are loved because of our limitations and glory. So remember, be of good cheer. It will uplift you, all those in your energy field, and ultimately the world. Thank you. We're going to just move straight into meditation.